Welcome to our deep dive. This time we're looking into music and technology
Yeah.
and how Portugal is becoming like this, this center for digital music.
Yeah, and I think one of those striking things is this ambition that Portugal has
Yeah.
to really make this transition into becoming a true digital nation. Like their Secretary for Digital Transition said.
Okay, so when we're talking about music, what does a digital nation even mean? Like, are we going to see, AI pop stars coming out of Portugal or something?
I think it's less about specific genres and more about creating this ecosystem where technology and
Right.
creativity can thrive together.
Okay.
So we're talking about AI tools
Mhm.
that can help composers, find new melodies,
Okay.
or independent artists producing, studio quality tracks without needing that fancy studio,
Right.
or even giving fans personalized experiences at virtual concerts.
Okay, so that does sound pretty cool, I have to say. But
Yeah.
when I hear AI in music, like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah?
My brain goes straight to robots replacing musicians.
Yeah.
Is that a valid concern,
It's a
or?
common one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not alone in thinking that. But it's not about replacing human creativity at all.
Okay.
It's more like thinking of AI as like a collaborator,
hmm
or even like an extension of a musician's imagination.
Okay.
One of the sources you shared mentioned AI software that can analyze a composer's style
Yeah.
and then generate variations on their melodies.
Right.
So it's almost like having an AI brainstorming partner.
Yeah.
Would you see yourself ever using something like that?
That was actually one of the things that I was most curious about
Yeah.
in the articles that you sent, because I could see how that could be really useful for
Very cool.
someone like me, who sometimes gets stuck in a creative rut. But
Absolutely.
wouldn't that also lead to kind of a sameness in music?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's a valid concern.
hmm
And actually, one of the sources, we had an interview with a music tech CEO,
Yeah.
and they addressed that directly.
Okay.
And they argued that, AI is more like a set of advanced brushes for a painter.
Okay.
So the brushes themselves don't determine the artwork.
Right.
It's still the artist's vision and skill that bring it to life.
Yeah.
So AI can open up, new possibilities, but ultimately it's still the human element
Right.
that drives the creative process.
Okay, so it's more about like kind of pushing the boundaries
Yeah.
of what's possible, not like dictating a certain sound.
Exactly.
Okay, but how does this all tie back to Portugal specifically?
So Portugal is making strategic investments in music tech startups
Okay.
and research initiatives, and they're creating fertile ground for these technologies to blossom.
Okay.
So they're attracting, talented engineers and entrepreneurs
Mm.
from all over the world who want to be a part of this like AI-driven music revolution.
Okay.
It's not just about creating great music within Portugal itself,
Right.
but also becoming this global hub for music innovation.
So they want to be a leader in this whole like new landscape of music creation and technology.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the audience? You
Yeah.
mentioned personalized virtual concerts. How
Yeah.
would that even work?
So imagine attending a live-streamed concert
Okay.
where the AI is analyzing data from, thousands of viewers simultaneously.
Okay.
It can then adjust the audio mix, the camera angles,
Oh, wow.
and even the virtual stage design in real time.
Okay.
And it's tailoring the experience to each individual's preferences.
So the AI is basically reading my mind and giving me the concert experience I didn't even know I wanted.
Yeah, you can think of it that way.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely pushing the boundaries.
It sounds pretty ambitious.
Yeah,
And a little creepy, if I'm honest.
it is. It's pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and like any new technology,
Right.
there are ethical and privacy considerations that we have to address.
Sure.
But from a purely technical standpoint, it's fascinating to consider the possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where every concert you attend, whether in person or virtual,
Yeah.
feels perfectly tailored to your tastes.
I mean, that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yes.
let's shift gears to another fascinating example from what you sent.
Okay.
TATANKA's Orchestra Americana.
Yeah.
Um, what's the connection between this orchestra and all the stuff we've been talking about with technology?
So while Orchestra Americana itself isn't like directly powered by AI,
Okay.
it shares a similar spirit of innovation and breaking boundaries.
Okay.
This isn't your typical symphony orchestra playing classical masterpieces. It's a radically inclusive ensemble that brings together musicians from all sorts of backgrounds and genres and identities.
Yeah, I read about that in the profile you sent.
Yes.
But I'm having trouble picturing how it actually works.
Yeah.
Do they all play together at the same time? Is
Yeah.
it like a matchup or?
It's not about forcing all these different styles into a single mold.
Okay.
It's more like a musical conversation.
Okay.
Where each voice contributes to a richer, more diverse soundscape.
Okay.
They challenge traditional notions of harmony and what an orchestra can be,
Right.
much like AI is challenging our assumptions about music creation.
So it's less about everyone playing the same notes and more about creating this tapestry
Yes.
of sound where each individual thread kind of adds to the beauty of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights the power of both technology and human creativity to push the boundaries of what's possible in music.
Yeah.
And speaking of extraordinary individuals,
Yeah.
one of your sources focused on the story of Amara Nyabingi,
Right.
a transgender Ugandan musician who found a home and a voice within TATANKA's orchestra Americana.
Yes, and that was really moving
Yeah.
to read. I'm eager to hear more about her journey
Yeah.
and how she came to be a part of this incredible orchestra.
Well, it all started with 𝗑𝗕ᗕ𝗓, a dream and a long journey to Lisbon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so she travels all the way from Uganda to Lisbon with just her kora.
Mm-hmm.
What happened next?
So she arrived seeking refuge and a chance to share her music.
Yeah.
But imagine the courage it took to step into a new culture, a new city,
Right.
and try to find your place, especially when you've already faced so much adversity.
It's hard to fathom what that must have been like. Was she immediately drawn to Orchestra Americana, or was it more gradual?
So one of your sources mentioned that she was hesitant at first.
Okay.
I mean, it's understandable, having faced persecution for her identity.
Yeah.
She might be wary of putting herself out there again.
Right.
But there's something about the ethos of TATANKA, that radical inclusivity
Yeah.
that seems to draw people in.
So what was it about the orchestra that finally convinced her to join?
It was the realization that she didn't have to change who she was to be welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the orchestra encouraged her to embrace her unique musical heritage,
Okay.
to blend the sounds of her kora with all the other diverse voices in the ensemble.
Wow.
And that leads to a truly remarkable moment.
Okay.
Her first performance with Orchestra Americana.
All right, set the stage for us.
Okay.
What was it like?
So imagine a packed auditorium buzzing with anticipation.
Okay.
The audience is a mix of people from all walks of life.
Okay.
Lisbon locals, music enthusiasts, refugees. You've also found a home in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lights dim.
Yeah.
And there she is, Amara,
Wow.
standing on stage with her kora,
Yeah.
ready to share her music with the world.
That must have been an incredibly powerful moment for her and for the audience.
It was, and then she starts to play.
Yeah.
The first notes from her kora ring out,
Okay.
so clear and vibrant, carrying the weight of her journey,
Wow.
the resilience of her spirit.
Yeah.
And then the orchestra joins in,
Yeah.
weaving a tapestry of sound that's both familiar and completely unlike anything you've ever heard before.
Wow.
Ugandan folk melodies intertwined with Appalachian bluegrass,
Wow.
Tuvan throat singing, and the soulful strains of Delta blues.
It's hard to believe that so many diverse styles could come together so harmoniously.
I know, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's not about blending everything into a homogeneous mush.
Right.
It's about celebrating those differences, allowing each voice to shine,
Yeah.
while also creating something entirely new, and you could feel that energy in the room.
Yeah.
The audience is completely captivated,
Yeah.
swept away by this symphony of cultures.
This is giving me chills just listening to you describe it.
Yeah,
It sounds like such a powerful testament to the unifying power of music.
it truly is. And as the final note fades, the auditorium erupts in thunderous applause.
Wow.
For Amara, it's a moment of validation, of being seen and heard for who she truly is.
Yeah.
And for the audience, it's a glimpse into a world where music can transcend borders, where differences are celebrated,
Right.
and where something truly magical can emerge when we embrace the richness of diverse voices.
That's a beautiful story, and it ties in so well with everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The power of technology to push creative boundaries, the potential for AI to empower musicians,
Absolutely.
and the importance of creating spaces where everyone feels welcome to share their unique voice.
Exactly, and it highlights something that one of your sources pointed out. The future of music isn't just about technology.
Right.
It's about finding new ways to connect with each other, to share our stories, and to build bridges across cultures.
I completely agree. And it's not just happening on a grand stage like Orchestra Americata.
Right.
It's happening in bedrooms and basements and studios all over the world as musicians experiment with new tools,
Yeah.
collaborate across distances, and find new ways to express themselves.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is why this is such an exciting time to be exploring the world of music.
Absolutely.
There's so much innovation, so much energy,
Yeah.
so many possibilities waiting to be unlocked.
Yeah, and at the heart of it all, it's still that human element,
Yeah.
that drive to create, to connect, to share something meaningful with the world.
And that brings us back to the core of this deep dive.
Yeah.
We've seen how Portugal is positioning itself as a leader in this new world of music technology, how AI is changing the game for musicians and audiences alike, and how a unique orchestra like TATANKA is pushing the boundaries of what's possible when we embrace diversity and inclusion.
It's been an incredible journey, hasn't it?
It really has.
But I think the most important question is, what does this all mean for you?
That is a great question, and one I hope our listeners pondering as we wrap up this deep dive. What resonated most with you from all this information? What new possibilities are you excited to explore?
If the future of music is a global symphony, like one of your sources suggested, what unique notes will you contribute?
Maybe you're inspired to try out some of these new AI music tools that we talked about.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're feeling drawn to explore different musical traditions from around the world. Or maybe you're feeling that spark of creativity and you're ready to pick up an instrument. Fire up a music program and start composing your own unique melody, whatever path you choose. We hope this deep dive has given you a glimpse into the exciting world where music and technology meet,
Absolutely.
and the endless possibilities that await those who dare to explore it.
It's a brave new world.
It is. Until next time, keep those ears open and those creative sparks flying.
Keep creating.
You know, one thing that really struck me from all this is that we're not just talking about the future of music.
Right?
We're talking about the present.
Yeah.
These AI tools, these global collaborations are happening right now.
They are.
It's not some far-off science fiction concept.
It's so easy to get caught up in the what-ifs and the potential risks. But the reality is that this technology is already shaping the way music is created, produced, and experienced.
Yeah, and it's accessible to anyone with a laptop and an internet connection.
That's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah, it's not just for the big music studios or tech giants,
Right.
more independent artists, bedroom producers, even hobbyists can experiment with these tools and
Absolutely,
create
man.
something amazing.
One of your sources, a blog post by a music educator,
Yeah.
made a great point about this.
Okay.
They said that AI is democratizing music creation in a way that's never been seen before.
Wow.
It's giving people the power to realize their creative visions without needing expensive equipment or years of formal training.
And that brings up another interesting point. You sent over an article about how AI is being used to personalize music education.
Oh, yeah?
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. There are now AI-powered platforms that can adapt to a student's learning style and pace,
Okay.
providing customized lessons and feedback.
Wow.
Imagine a world where every music student has access to a virtual tutor
Right?
that can help them learn an instrument, develop their songwriting skills,
Yeah.
or explore music theory at their own speed.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah,
I wish I had something like that when I was learning to play guitar.
I know, me too.
It would have saved me a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, isn't there a risk that we become too reliant on AI? What happens to the human element of teaching and mentorship?
That's a valid concern. It's crucial to remember that AI should complement, not replace human interaction in education.
Right.
A good teacher can provide inspiration, encouragement, and that intangible spark that ignites a student's passion. AI can be a powerful tool, but it can't replicate the human connection.
Right.
That's so essential to learning.
I think that's a great point to emphasize. AI can open doors and create opportunities.
Yeah,
But it's up to us as humans to walk through those doors and make the most of those opportunities.
absolutely.
It's about finding the right balance between technology and human creativity, between innovation and tradition.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to the big question, what role do you want to play in this evolving musical landscape? Are you excited to embrace these new tools and experiment with AI-powered music creation? Or do you see yourself focusing on preserving and sharing traditional musical forms? Maybe you're somewhere in between, eager to find new ways to bridge the gap between the old and the new.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
And that's what makes this such a fascinating time to be a music lover.
Yeah.
The possibilities are truly endless, And it's up to each of us to define what the future of music sounds like.
It's been a joy exploring all these ideas with you, and I hope our listeners walking away feeling inspired and energized. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world where music meets technology.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time.
Until next time, keep those ears open and those creative sparks flying.
Keep creating.
Okay, so she travels all the way from Uganda to Lisbon with just her 꽶𝗧.
Mm-hmm.
What happened next?
Well, she arrives seeking refuge and a chance to share her music.
Right.
But can you imagine the courage it takes to step into this new culture, this new city,
Yeah.
and try to find your place, especially after you've already faced so much adversity?
It's hard to fathom what that must have been like.
It is.
Was she immediately drawn to Orchestra Americana,
Well,
or is it more gradual?
one of your sources mentioned that she was a little hesitant at first.
Okay.
Which, makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Having faced persecution for her identity,
Right.
she might be a little wary of putting herself out there again.
Sure.
But there's something about that ethos of TATANKA,
Right.
that radical inclusivity
Mm-hmm.
that just seems to draw people in.
So what was it about the orchestra that finally convinced her to join?
It was the realization that she didn't have to change who she was
Yeah.
to be welcomed.
Okay.
In fact, the orchestra encouraged her to embrace her unique musical heritage,
Right.
to blend the sound of her ꗑ𝗧 with all the other diverse voices in the ensemble.
Wow.
And that leads to this really remarkable moment.
Okay.
Her first performance with Orchestra Americana.
All right. Set the stage for us. What was it like?
Okay, so picture a packed auditorium buzzing with anticipation.
Okay.
The audience is this mix of people from all walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
Lisbon locals, music enthusiasts,
Yeah.
refugees who've also found a home in this city.
Right.
And then the lights dim,
Okay.
and there she is, Amara, standing on stage with her ꗑ𝗧,
Wow.
ready to share her music with the world.
That must have been such a powerful moment, both for her and for the audience.
It was, and then she starts to play.
Yeah.
The first notes from her ꗑ𝗧 ring out clear and vibrant,
Okay.
carrying the weight of her journey, the resilience of her spirit.
Wow.
And then the orchestra joins in,
Okay.
weaving this tapestry of sound that's both familiar
Yeah.
and completely unlike anything you've ever heard before.
Wow.
Ugandan folk melodies intertwine with Appalachian bluegrass Tuvon throat singing,
Wow.
the soulful strains of Delta blues.
It's hard to believe that so many diverse styles could come together so harmoniously.
I know, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's not about blending everything into a homogeneous mush.
Right.
It's about celebrating those differences, allowing each voice to shine,
Right.
while also creating something entirely new, and you can feel that energy in the room.
Yeah.
The audience is completely captivated, swept away by this symphony of cultures.
I'm getting chills just listening to you to describe it.
I know, it's incredible.
It sounds like such a powerful testament to the unifying power of music.
It really is. And as the final note fades,
Yeah.
the auditorium erupts in this thunderous applause.
Oh, wow.
For Amara, it's a moment of validation, of being seen and heard for who she truly is.
Right.
And for the audience, it's this glimpse into a world where music can transcend borders,
Yeah.
where differences are celebrated,
Yeah.
and where something truly magical can emerge when we embrace the richness of diverse voices.
That's a beautiful story.
It is.
And it ties in so well with everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The power of technology to push creative boundaries, the potential for AI to empower musicians,
Absolutely.
the importance of creating spaces where everyone feels welcome to share their unique voice.
And it highlights something that one of your sources pointed out.
Okay.
The future of music isn't just about technology.
Right.
It's about finding new ways to connect with each other, to share our stories,
Mm-hmm.
and to build bridges across cultures.
I completely agree. And it's not just happening on a grand stage like Orchestra Americana.
Right.
It's happening in bedrooms and basements and studios all over the world
Yeah.
as musicians experiment with new tools, collaborate across distances, and
Yeah.
find new ways to express themselves.
It's so inspiring.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is inspiring. And it makes you realize that this isn't,
Yeah.
just some far off thing.
Right.
Like, this is happening now.
Yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in those what ifs
Right.
and the potential downsides.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is this technology is already here.
Yeah.
It's already shaping the way music is created, produced, experienced.
And it's accessible
Yeah.
to pretty much anyone.
To anyone with a laptop and an internet connection.
Exactly. So it's not just for
Right.
the big music studios and the tech giants anymore. It's
Yeah.
independent artists, it's bedroom producers, it's hobbyists.
Yeah, and one of your sources, a blog post by a music educator,
Yeah.
they made a great point about this.
Okay.
They said that AI is democratizing music creation.
Right.
in a way that we've never seen before.
Wow.
It's giving people the power to realize their creative visions
Yeah.
without needing that expensive equipment or years of Bible training.
And that brings up another point that I found really interesting.
Okay?
You sent over an article about how AI is being used to personalize music education.
Yes,
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
absolutely. So there are now AI-powered platforms
Right.
that can adapt to a student's learning style and pace.
Wow. So like personalized lessons.
Yeah, providing customized lessons and feedback.
So it's like everyone gets a personal tutor, basically.
Yeah, imagine a world where every music student has access to a virtual tutor
Right.
that can help them learn an instrument,
Okay.
develop their songwriting skills, or explore music theory.
Yeah. At their own speed.
Exactly.
I mean, that sounds incredible.
It does.
Like, I wish I had that when I was learning guitar.
I know, me too.
It would saved me a lot of frustration.
Right.
But I have to ask, though,
Yeah,
isn't there a risk that we become too reliant on AI?
that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to remember that AI should complement, not replace,
Right.
human interaction in education.
Yeah.
You know, a good teacher can provide that inspiration, that encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
and that, kind of intangible spark
Right.
that ignites a student's passion.
Yeah.
AI is a powerful tool,
Right.
but it can't replicate that human connection
Yeah.
that's so essential to learning.
I think that's a really important point to emphasize. AI can open doors. It
Yeah.
can create these opportunities, but it's up to us as humans
Right.
to walk through those doors.
So take the reins.
Yeah, exactly, and make the most of them. So
Yeah.
it's all about finding the right balance
Exactly.
between technology and human creativity, between innovation and tradition.
And that brings us back to the big question,
Yeah.
what role do you want to play
Right.
in this evolving musical landscape?
Exactly.
Are you excited to embrace these new tools?
Yeah.
Experiment with AI-powered music creation? Or do you see yourself focusing on preserving and sharing traditional musical forms?
Right.
Maybe you're somewhere in between,
Yeah.
eager to find new ways to bridge the gap between the old and the new.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer, and that's what makes this such an amazing time to
Exactly.
be a music lover.
So much possibility.
Yeah, the possibilities are truly endless.
That's
Yeah, it's up to each of us to define, what the future of music sounds like.
It's been such a pleasure exploring these ideas with you,
Likewise.
and I really hope that our listeners are walking away feeling inspired and energized.
Me too.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Yes, thank you for listening, everyone.
into the world where music meets technology.
Until next time, keep those ears open and those creative sparks flying.
Keep creating.